Hello, everyone. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV, and I've got the boys on tonight, and they're going to go through the player ratings with me. First, to my left, which is that way, is Mr. Charlie Walsh, and to my right is that way is Lucas, all the way from the US of A. You know what I mean? Charlie, talk to me, mate. What happened today?
I don't know. I forget about your intro music every time, and I'm just out here. Just not. Lucas told me what the actual tune was the other day. I was vibing to it. Anyway, it was terrible, James. It was utterly awful. it was terrible. It was pointless. Look. This is a Leeds side who the 11 that's on the pitch are basically the only ones that fit. They had a 15-year-old on the bench. One of their substitutes was 15 years old. That's how few people they have, and they mugged us off.
They even subbed the sub today, didn't they?
Yep.
Bro, they took off a sub. The kid came on, and then Bill went, "Hear me out, nah," and then did a David Moyes with me, Paul Rebecca. That's how it was. Just
that's taking even more of the piss, isn't it? When we get into it, Lucas, how are you, mate? Apart from the result,
I'm all right, I guess. I did say earlier in the week I wouldn't mind a draw today just because of familiarity of opponent. I mean, it is tough to beat the same side twice in the same week. It's the Premier League. It's the toughest league in the world. But, we played like shit today, and Leeds deserved 3 points in the end.
Yeah, I did, mate. I really, really did. But let's get into it. Start off with this man. Lucas Fabianski. I'll start off with Charlie, then Lucas, then back to me last. Charlie, 3 goals conceded. The first one he should be saving. Would you agree on that, or do you think that's a bit harsh?
I don't even remember the first goal. I mean, I know it was Jack Harrison.
Harrison had the shot, didn't he? He had the shot, and he went through. He went through everyone, and
yes. Yes, maybe a bit harsh, but not unfairly, if you know what I mean. It's one of those ones where I don't know. I wouldn't sit here and go, he should be saving that, but at the same time, you've seen him saved, I guess is the way I would put it, if you see what I'm saying. I don't think he was that bad overall. I thought he was all right. It's just one of those days. I think, for example, the second and third ones, I can't, off the top of my head, I don't think he could have done anything about really. Probably a 5. I'll give him a 5.
I think the second one isn't really his fault. It's more defensively. I think it's more Cresswell, if anything. But the third one, I think he goes down. He makes the decision for Harrison straight away. He comes out, he goes low, Harrison chips over it. So
yeah, but I don't think I'll blame him too much for that. I think it's one of those ones where it's like you make it as difficult for the striker as possible in that scenario. You go down, you so he can't hit it underneath you. That's the most difficult place for you to save it. So you go down, hoping yourself can't. And Harrison's finish is just very, very good. It's just very, very good.
The third goal was really good.
Yeah, so I'll give him a 5. I don't really think it was that bad a performance, but it wasn't good. It wasn't good, but I wouldn't say it was that bad. I mean, there was worse people on the pitch, even though he conceded 3. And while Lucas talks, I'm just going to go back and watch the first goal so I can remember it. I think I remember it.
Lucas, take it away, mate. Fab.
Again, it was one of those games. In my personal opinion, I don't think he was that bad. And I think Fabianski hasn't had a terrible match in a long time where it's like, what the hell are you doing? But I think the defense massively let him down today. The first goal, he's going to have to pull a double save. He makes the first save, and then it falls to our defense, who fails to clear the ball.
But I just think he gets an hand on it. He can see the ball coming. He can see the shot. There's no one running in front of him. I
just feel like you ask your keeper to make the first save. Yeah. That's really, I'm not going to say that's all you can do because we've seen crazy double saves before, but he makes the first save like he's supposed to. It comes back into the defense. The ball should have been cleared. First of all, that's basics, but it doesn't. Fab misses the second shot attempt, but he does get some fingers on it. Second goal, not his fault. Third goal, not his fault. he did come out, but I mean, what do you want him to do? Like, he's got to make life tough somehow. I'm giving him a 5 is fair, but in my judgment, I think he had an average game, so I'm giving him a 6.
Cool, you're being kind, Lucas. You're like, this is like the Jekyll and Hyde in me in between. I can't give him a 6, mate. I think the first goal he should be saving. I really do. I think if players are running in front of him, I can understand it. Might cause him grief, but he can see the whole ball. He can see the player in the shot, and he does get an hand on it. But he just goes straight through him. The second goal, I don't think it's his fault. I think it's defensively, and the third one, I think it's error in all 3 parts. Vlasic, Diop, Vlasic, Diop, even Dawson to a point. I think was out of position on that one. He goes down low, and even Cresswell at that matter and all. So I'm going to give him a 4. I think it's just that's average. That was massively below average for me. Do you know what I mean? So
I think the one thing I didn't mention that West Ham Online did there is his distribution was poor, and I think it's one of those ones with Fabianski where I think his distribution is poor all the time, so I don't really tend to notice it being that bad. But there were times today where I was just like, bruv, what are we doing?
And the lads have to be moving. We can't really see the angle all the time, but all those times that we think he's super slow, it could be the lads up top literally not moving. And obviously Jared Bowen, I mean, contrary to popular belief, Jared Bowen isn't going to win an aerial duel off a goal kick, in my opinion. A corner, of course. But do you really want to be kicking a ball up to Jared Bowen from a goal kick? If he's not moving or anything, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with any of your scores.
No problem there. Moving on to Kafal. I'm gutted, mate, because I thought he was dreadful today, Charlie. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really bad, wasn't it?
I don't really remember a thing he did.
Nothing.
I'm trying to think in my head of something he did. And I just can't.
Kept passing it down the line, kept passing it out of play. Harrison was on his side for the majority of the time. Crossing all that. The only decent thing he done, Charlie, I say the one decent thing he done was a ball come in, he had a shot on target, and then Yamalenko put it in, but it was offside because Bowen.
Yes.
Other than that, there was nothing else, mate, to me.
Yeah, not good. And it's one of those games where, like, it's one of the ones where when we'd have discussions previously on American Hammers about how I think Vladimir Sufal is definitely a £5 to £10 million fullback, and we had some strong disagreements on that. It's because he's very one-dimensional. And I think that's fine. And I think it's nice to have a system, and it's nice to have muscle memory. So when we go forward as well, we know what we're going to do. We're going to try and get the ball to Sufal, and then he's going to try and put it in. But there's so much tunnel vision sometimes. And there was times where he was getting the ball in the attacking third as well, where like his head was like, I'm crossing this ball. I'm crossing this ball. I'm crossing this ball. It's like, just lay it off short if the option's not there. And they defended him really well and shut him down completely. And I'm like, instead, just do something else. But it's like head against the wall type thing. Yeah, I don't think he was very good at all. I'd say 4 because I think he's below average. I think he's poor. Rough game.
I'm similar to you, Lucas. What do you think, mate? Kafal.
Crossing wasn't there. He did put in a shift, but we all know we do that fundamentally. But at the end of the day, we need some cutting edge. Defensively was, I'd probably give him a 5.
Jazza says, the Three Musketeers, hello everyone. Charlie's looking irresistible tonight.
Hello, Jay. You're right.
At least Jazza can cheer us up. You'll give him a 5, Lucas, yeah? I'm with Charlie on this one. I've got to give him a 4. I thought he was dreadful, mate. I really did that. And that's being kind on that 4. All over the place defensively. Out of position. What done it for me, why it's such a low scoring, because the second goal, he's slow coming out from the set piece. And he's got his hand in the air saying about offside, and he's miles on. Like, the geezer's miles on. It's Kafal's fault. gutted, mate, with him. I don't know what's going on there. He's just lost his way. Like, I don't. Let me ask both of you: Ben Johnson, right, or Cathal at present on current form? Who would you rather have?
Johnson.
It's tough for me just because I think it's a really tight race between both of them. But I think Sufal's crossing, even though it wasn't there today, I still think it's better than Johnson's. But
bro, I think as I'm going to say Ryan Fredericks.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Flipping hell, Charlie. We're going back to Ryan Fredericks, then we are.
I don't think Ben Johnson sets my opinion. Basically, I don't think Johnson takes us to the next step in today's match. I think it would have been
that's fair.
Probably the same result if Johnson plays, in my opinion. But possibly. I mean, retrospect is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it really is, mate. Moving on to this man, Cresswell, and this is the one I feared. When I see Rafinha was coming back for this game, this is the one I thought he's going to get turned inside out, and he was poor today, wasn't he, Charlie?
Yeah, I think to say something positive, because there's not going to be much in the show today that's positive. His hair was on point as per usual, just very specific. It's just a shot. Secondly, his crossing from corners was incredible. That's the one time I've been consistently happy with our corners in a long, long time. We weren't doing the in-swinging to the first man like we do all of the other times. We were actually looking to go a little bit deeper, and we got success from it. And I was like, okay, right, maybe that's what we missed. Just get Cresswell taking the corners, and then we could just do that. Because my God, have they been terrible for a long time? And I think that and one or two other sort of, he got forward not well, but it was fine. I think we'll save him a little bit. Defensively, I don't think he was great. I think he was a bit bad, and he is also heavily culpable for the third goal, in my opinion, as well. More so than the other people who get mentioned frequently. So, yeah, for me, I'll give him a 5 because of the assists and the danger in that sense, but rough game defensively for Cresswell.
Lucas, what'd you make of Cresswell today?
I'm about the same where Charlie is. If he doesn't get an assist today, he's probably a 4 for me. And I know it really doesn't make sense for me to give Sufal a 5, Cresswell a 4, but I think Sufal is better defensively than Cresswell. I think Cresswell's been, I don't want to say a defensive liability for all of his time here, but we all know he's never been the greatest defender. He has his matches, of course, just like everyone else, but without the assists today, I give him a 4, but I think 5 is fair. He put in some his crossing today from set pieces was really good. And I still don't understand why he's not on the outfield set pieces, just the corners. He needs to be on every single set piece. Every single one.
Yeah.
So I'm giving him a 5.
I'm in agreement with I'm in agreement with all with the pairiers. I agree. A 5 is about right. This is the one I feared during the week. I was looking at this game and I was thinking Rafinha didn't play last Sunday in the FA Cup. He come on as a sub, and if I'm honest, I thought he was just average, wasn't it? Average Joe performance from a night player who's just coming back. So yeah, he gets a 5 for me. Moving on to this man. Now this is going to be interesting. Issa Diop. Charlie, does he deserve the criticism that he's getting, the hostile criticism, or was it the whole defence that was shocking?
I'm trying to decide how much hate I want to get.
Just put it on him, please.
They all shit. I'll be real about it. You look at it and you say, right, I understand, right? I do understand that with West Ham, we get people and then we go, that's the problem. Like for the third goal, everyone's like, Diop. And if they're not talking about Diop, they're like, Vlasic. I'm like, well, Diop was given a hospital pass by Cresswell, and yet no one mentioned that. Where do we draw these lines sometimes? We draw these lines at specific people.
Beautiful American football term by you.
Is the line drawn, though, Charlie, because of his price tag?
Yes, because people are stupid. I
Yeah.
can't. It annoys me so much. It's like,
Yeah.
we pay 25 million, therefore he has to put in world. It's like, no, look, I'm not going to say he was good today because he wasn't, but I think he was. You can copy and paste exactly what I'm about to say about Diop to Craig Dawson. Some decent challenges, some awful decision making, a bad game, poor short passing. The one thing I would say in Diop's favor, apart from Dawson, is there were actually some okay passing and some okay progression in there. But by and large, a bad game for everyone in defense today. I'd say 4 for Diop. I know people are probably going to go lower than that, but I would say a 4 for Diop. And I'm probably going to say the exact same thing for Dawson as well.
Lucas?
Listen, Dawson and Diop are. I really don't think Craig Dawson is that shit. But I'm also one of those people where like it really doesn't make sense to give someone a higher or lower rating when they're in a partnership. But I think it is so clear that Issa Diop is a level below Craig Dawson, which says a lot. That's bad. I think it says a lot, regardless to price tag or not. I mean, even if let's say Diop costed £5 million, he's still shit. Like to me, but I just cannot give him. I'm really trying to not let my heart make the rating. I think a 4. I think a 4 is appropriate. I really want to give him a 3, but
I'll say this.
Actually,
I'll
no,
say this.
I'm giving him a 3.
I'll say this. Go with your heart. Back the beef.
3.
Yes.
I'm gonna go 4. I thought he was dreadful, but right, he just wasn't the only one. Like there's others in there who's all over the gaff. He got turned for the third goal. No, for the offside goal. Sorry, absolute shambolic. And he's just. I've tried to back him up, and this is gutting for me because I've tried to back him up, give him time, give him praise.
He just seems to be part of every single goal that's conceded.
But that's I'll tell you why. A, because he's centre back, so it goes through him a lot. But B, that's because there were bigger problems ahead of him today to some extent. I'm going to get into it as we get onto these players, but the positioning was all over the shop. Our system today was utterly atrocious. We really did set ourselves up to put everything on Fabianski, Dawson, and Diop to somehow turn into prime Pirlo. Like they were going to start pinging big diags out from the back perfectly into like it was just stupid. Diop is better on the ball than Dawson, but in that he can actually dribble with the ball. He's not a good passer. He's not that good a passer. Dawson's probably a better passer, but Dawson's not a particularly good passer. And we just kept putting them in situations where we had to keep booting it along, and it's just stupidity. It's madness, and I don't get at what point David Moyes looked at it and went, "Yeah." Like either the players weren't listening to his instructions, or he doesn't learn his lesson. We faced Leeds twice, right? The one at Ellen Road and the one last week. The one last week, I didn't even know some of their players. That's how bad their injuries were, right? So you look at it and you go, all right, it was what it was, whatever. We sort of got away with it. The one at Ellen Road, the exact same thing happened. They pressed our centre backs, they pressed our defensive midfielders, and then all of a sudden all the pressure's on and they got rewards for it. It's just this time they actually seemed like we were more competent and had a second half performance, whereas the last time they didn't. We battered them. What David Moyes was thinking, looking at that and going, this is going to work. I don't understand. I can't. We'll get onto it. And I saw you tweeting the words that we all want to say, Alex Kral. But like, I saw you tweeting that, James. But like, fam, explain, because I can't.
Yeah, I agree. We will get onto that. Moving on to his other partner. Obviously, Charlie just mentioned it. He said it's going to be polarizing. I think he was all right though, Charlie. Towards the end of the match, when we're chasing the game, he held the ball up well, and the strikers half, the final third, and he was fighting, but. I don't
necessarily disagree, but I think he did about as much right as Diop did. It's another 4 for me. I think, like, and I like both of these players. I love Dawson. inherently because he's going to kick someone in the head, and I'm all about that kind of techers. But like I like them both, but like
Man knows ball.
He just man knows
But-
ball, man knows
but
head.
is
He
it-
kick head.
Is it though, Charlie, that you got two players there? One's £24 million from France.
Toulouse.
The other one is a £2.2 million signing from Watford.
Mm.
Right. If they were both, say, £5 million signings, would Diop be getting the same amount of heat that he's getting now? And would Craig Dawson get less so? Like, you see what I'm saying?
His price tag has a huge part to play in it, but I think judging people on price tags is a bad idea regardless. I just think it's if you're judging someone by how much they cost, then you're onto a loser. It's just because it's always going to be the same. Because at West Ham we don't spend big, and so whenever you spend big, you're never going to be able to match those expectations. I think I've said this to you both, but I think Dimitri Payet broke West Ham a little bit. Where every big money signing, we're looking to have a Payet-esque effect because Payet cost 10 million, and realistically, that's complete chaos. Like Payet wasn't worth the 10 million we bought him for. He wasn't worth the 25 million we sold him for. He was worth twice, triple that because he was that damn good. Like it doesn't matter how much money we spend on that, we're not going to get another one of those. And I think that's kind of broken us a little bit. So we look at every big money signing and we go, this person has to perform. This person has to perform. I don't think judging people by their price tags is worth it, in my opinion. I think that's what happens. I agree with you there. I do think that's why. I think if the price tags were flipped somehow, if we spent 25 million on Craig Dawson or whatever, then it would be, the criticism would probably be flipped. But for me, I think you look at the performances on the pitch. For me, they were both as bad as each other.
Lucas, give me a rating and your thoughts on Dawson, mate.
I'd probably give him a 4. As I previously stated, I think it's not even close to the better center back is of the pair. Not saying that he's some god or anything, but I mean, I think Craig Dawson is clear of Issa Diop, which is embarrassing.
He's dependable.
Yeah, he's dependable, and I've always been in the camp where my two center backs, I would like one of them to be kind of like a shade towards technical, and then the other is like a no nonsense. I'm gonna clear the ball. I'm gonna do the basics, And Diop is supposed to be the one with some sort of shade of technicality, and he's shit. Craig Dawson, his passing is not that great. On any other day, if he plays his normal self, I'd probably give him a 5. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not that deluded. I'm not gonna give him 2 ratings above Diop, no matter how I feel. How trash he has played. But I think 4 is right.
I'm going to give him a 4. I'm with you on this one. I'll start off with the positives. I thought when he went forward towards the end of the match, I thought he held the ball up brilliantly. I really did. I thought he was good on the ball. He was turning people. He was like a bulldozer trying to get the ball
Except
forward.
I let out a huge what the fuck when I saw him holding up the ball in the final third against 3 people.
Yeah,
I said, what the hell is going on?
Right, and I thought, where's our striker to do that? And he's on the wing somewhere. Defensively, though, and that's what he's paid to do for a living, he was all over the place. The third goal, he's out of position. He's just... I think Dawson and Diop make each other look bad. I think as sooner Suma comes back, the better. It really is. Simple rating for me. I give him a 4.
I wonder what happened, because they were both good together in Europe at the beginning.
Because it's
wonder
Europe, I think.
But do you think, before we get on to Rice, do you feel though, Charlie, that they've both run out of steam in a way? Because we see this with Dawson last year, and we see obviously with Issa we haven't.
I mean, apparently Dawson's playing injured for the past month.
Dawson done this last year. He started off like a train, excellent. Then a couple of games he started to sort of fade a little bit, and then the Newcastle game last year, that's when it sort of went downhill. Right, he got sent off. He was all over the place. Are we seeing the same thing happening again? Are they running out of steam?
I don't know. I think there's a malaise over the team in regards to form anyway. I think there are very few people in form. We're getting there a little bit in an attacking sense, but defensively we're still a little bit all over the shop.
Really, we've got 2 players in good form. The rest, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah, probably at this point, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. moving on to this man who, for me personally, is my man of the match today, West Ham. If I'm going to pick a man of the match, I think he was the best at the bad bunch, really. What do you reckon on him today, Charlie?
I think he was bad. I think Declan Rice needs to stop for 5 seconds moving forward. Bro, you've got Lanzini next to you. Think about it for 1 second in your life. I know you want to go forward. I know you think you're prime Patrick Vieira, but you're not, bruv. Look, I'll be real, okay? His driving runs were decent. Part of that is because people aren't expecting it, so he has the space to drive into. And if something was going to happen, if anything happened, it usually came from him actually picking up the ball and driving with it. And I think part of that as well is just because he was so frustrated at what was going on, and so he was like, "Right, I'm grabbing this ball and I'm going with it. And you're not going to be able to stop me doing it," which is fine. Didn't do anything with it once he got to the other end, though. He's like, it frustrates me so much, and it's fine. It's not fine. It's not necessarily the end of the world if we have another actual defensive midfielder next to him, or anywhere on the pitch.
Yeah, but who do you blame there, though, Charlie? Because I understand what you're saying.
It's either him or Moyes. It's one of them. It's either Moyes' fault for not telling him to not do it, or it's his fault for doing it despite Moyes telling him not to do it.
See, I understand what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. I partly agree with you on this, but when it comes to Alex Crowell, and we will get into Alex Crowell in a minute, Alex Crowell should be sitting right next to him and allowing him to do that. And that, well, let's put it like this: with no thrust from midfield, we had nothing today, really. Nothing of any note going forward.
Lanzini should have been the thrust, though.
Has he got the pace to do it?
We lost the midfield battle, and I say it every single week. I don't care who we go up against. I always like our chances because Souček Rice, it's arguably the best partnership in the Prem, and I don't care who we go up against. When we have those two, I think we can beat anyone because midfield wins the game every single time.
I just think we're stupid. I just think we're so unbelievably. I think we have
naive, stupid club all around.
I think we have one of the best defensive midfielders in the Prem. Like as a defensive midfielder, as a defensive and on his defensive end, one of the best in the Premier League. And we're letting him maraud forward constantly in a game in which Leeds were pressing us.
Yeah.
Again, in which we've seen what they want to do, and we went, no, but hear me out. No. You tell him, look, and I know he doesn't want to do it, and I know none of us want to be the person. I know none of us would want to have the heart to sit down to Rice and go, look, listen, I understand that you're young and you want to go running around, blah, 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 blah. No, you sit and you stop it. You stop things coming through. That's your job. Okay? Yeah. We have Dawson and Diop. You have Dawson and Diop who have been out of form for how long? Behind you. No. Definitely run forward. That's a good idea. Vacate all space. And whatever, I can't remember which goal it was. I'd have to recheck it. I have to rewatch it, double check. I think it might be the third one. Where he was not even anywhere near it. And I'm like, the ball's coming across, the defenses are at 6s and 7s, and you're only just arriving in the area. Where are you? To quote Delia Smith.
That's exactly what I said on my afterthought.
It's so frustrating to watch because I'm like,
yeah.
And again, I wouldn't have so much problem with it if what he was doing was good. Like, the driving forward is decent, right? Whatever. But there's no end product at all. So many passes at the end of it, it's actively bad. And I'm like, it's just frustrating me because I'm like, you're so talented as a defensive midfielder.
Do you think he's naive, Charlie? Do you think he's naive to the situation? But is it him? This is the argument I have. Is it him who's doing that, or is it Moyes saying, "Well, no, you go forward and let Lanzini sit there"? Like,
either way, he's doing it.
Yeah, I agree.
At this point, we're talking about player performances, right? So, like,
yeah,
either way, he's doing it. Like, when I said pause may be harsh, but I think he was just defensively. I think he was just missing in a game where we needed strong defensive midfielders to help out what was a backline that was all over the shop, and I think he was missing. I think. Like, pause may be harsh. I'd probably give him a 5, but just man, like, it could be so much easier, and we just refuse to let it be because for some reason, whatever reason it is, he's going on these marauding runs. And when you have Crowell next to you, when you have Souček next to you, that's okay. But when the only other person in a double pivot is Manuel Lanzini, oof.
You're asking for trouble, ain't you, mate? Let's be honest. Lucas, what do you reckon?
Charlie, what'd you give him?
5.
5? I'm gonna give him a 7 because he's the heartbeat. I do agree with what Charlie's saying, but sometimes, especially with this shit can squad, he has to take the ball into his own hands. Like he's gotta do something. He's the heartbeat. He's just not gonna sit around and I mean, not that Moyes' tactics were bad. I think his selection was bad, but I don't think the tactics are bad. Sometimes the tactics aren't working, and I'd rather Declan Rice try and do something and take the game over rather than just get stuck in on tactics that aren't working or getting us forward or accomplishing our goal. And while I do agree with what Charlie said about Rice, I just can't ignore that he was the heartbeat today, and if he didn't try and get us forward or charge us forward, we probably would have been worse today. But I mean, we'll get on to Moyes later, and I've been waiting to say what I'm going to say. But I think no one's higher than a 7 today, but I think Rice a 7 for me.
This is an interesting one for me. Because now I've listened to Charlie, I can understand Charlie's point of view, but then I can understand my point of view. On Charlie's point of view, I get what you're saying. I really do. I think he's very naive. But he knows full well that we're getting the balls played through the middle, and he's sitting, he's going forward, and he's. Let's be honest, we're asking Lanzini to be a defensive midfielder, and he ain't. He's not a defensive midfielder.
And I'm not comparing. I'm not going to compare Lanzini to Jack Wilshere, but I mean that's basically what his partner was today. I would make a joke about Jack Wheelchair all the time, saying he's the most defensive attacking midfielder I've ever seen. And I mean, what more can he do with that next to him? And I don't want to hear about Norwich. It's fucking Norwich. Leeds are a proper club, in my opinion. I don't think you can get away. Basically, I'll get into it later, but we've tried to fight fire with fire, and I think that's stupid.
Thing is, with me, I agree with what you just said there, Lucas, about him going forward. He has to take the ball by the arms and go, you know what? I've got to try and run the show now because no one else is doing it. I'm going to make this pretty quick, this rating. I'm going to give him a high 7. I agree with Lucas on this one. I think he tried his hardest, but it's like, I don't blame him today. I blame Moyes. Well, why is Lanzini playing? And we're going to get on to Lanzini next.
Charlie's spot on.
Yeah.
But, like,
I agree with Charlie to a point.
The American sports side of me that comes in is that, like, when nothing's going right, there's got to be someone that has the balls to grab the game by the horns and try and make something happen.
I'll say this: if the person who's grabbing the ball by the horns and going hog wild on it is the guy who's meant to be sitting as the pivot in the entirety of the team, who's one of, if not the best reader defensively of the game on the pitch, and he's all the way up the other end of the pitch, what bloody use is he?
Yeah,
sometimes grabbing the ball by the horns is stopping them. Sometimes it's saying, no, I'm going to cancel everything you do out and then I'm going to lay it off. You know, and that's something he has been incredible at.
The last thing I wanted to add, I really think he should have tried. I know he had a shot that skied over, but there was like 2 or 3 other times I really wish he would have tried a shot on goal because it just ended in disaster. That was my last thing.
The one thing I would say is, like, with the last thing I saw on the driving forward thing is because I don't necessarily disagree with you. And I think if there was, like I say, Krau, Souček, someone like that standing next to him, I wouldn't have as much problem with it. Although I would still ask the question, do they ever come to anything? Doesn't feel like it. I'd have to go back and double check, but he's not prolific in chance creation, goals, anything. Key passes. I'd have to go back and double check, but he was, and again, like, I've just went back and double checked which one it was. Third goal, he's nowhere near it. Fourth goal, which thankfully was disallowed, was his man that scored, and he wasn't anywhere near him. And it's like, again, this is because, and like the third goal, he jogged back. Everyone else, Cresswell, everyone else, busting a gut to try and get back. Now, don't get me wrong, none of them know where they are. For love of money, none of our defenders know what's going on, but at least they're trying to get there. And he was jogging back, and I'm like, You're supposed to cover runners. You're a defensive midfielder. What are you doing? It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating.
It is, mate. It is. Moving on to this man, Manuel Lanzini. This was going to be interesting for me. This one really is going to be interesting because before I get started with Lanzini and from the boys, I want to ask the boys a question. What is Alex Crowell got to do to get in his team? I just do not understand it. You got a natural central midfielder, plays for Czech Republic. You've got a good few caps for Czech Republic, played in the Euros, played with Souček. I'll start off with Charlie. Where is Alex Crowell, mate? And why ain't he playing?
I don't know. It makes no sense.
Is this the most bizarre loan, Charlie, in West Ham history? Really? I know we've had some crap loans over the years.
I think the loan makes sense. I just think David Moyes is just a weirdo with these things sometimes. Like, again, I understand you want to settle people in, and there's been times like I remember when Bowen first joined, for example, it took a while for him to sort of embed himself in the team. Ben Ramos, and obviously it's another example of someone who took a while to sort of be given more and more opportunities. He didn't just come straight in and be put in. And Alex Crowell's obviously in the less than enviable position of being behind, as Lucas said, one of the best double pivots in the Premier League with Rice and Souček. Like, it's not an ideal situation for someone to come in and try and make an impact. But every time we've had injuries in those positions or someone not available or we've rotated, it's never been him. And it wasn't even, and when it's Noble going in, I can almost understand it because you've got the leadership qualities, final season, all of that stuff. You're like, okay, right, I can understand it. When it's Lanzini going in, and Lanzini playing in general, I'm very for at the moment. I think he can be incredibly effective. But in a double pivot against a team who press, not sure about them ones, David. Not sure, my G. I don't want to be that angry about it, but it's just, I cannot figure it out. I wish I knew. Because it's not even like he's an attacking defensive midfielder. He's defensive as they come. That lets Rice do whatever he wants. What's going on? I don't know.
Yeah. Lucas, what about you, mate? Alex Crowell, quickly.
He's got to take Moyes into a back alley and beat him up or something. I don't know. I really wish I could be a fly in the wall when it comes to training or meetings or game planning, scouting the opponent. I really don't know what he's got to do. And I think most of us can say when we signed Alex Crowell on loan, we definitely thought like, okay, if Souček ever gets hurt or has COVID, that is going to be the guy to step in depending on the match. Like against the Leeds, that's a Leeds, Norwich, Burnley, bottom, even Aston Villa, anything like bottom half. I want to see Crowell in. And then maybe if we're playing a pig six, greedy six side, I want to see Mark Noble in because he's just got that oomph about him. He's got some. But I don't know what he's got to do. Like I said, back alley, fist fight, whatever Italian mob bosses do, because I know that's what Moyes is. I don't know. It's at first it's left me in mystery and awe, but now it's like really starting to genuinely piss me off because
I agree with you on that.
It's
100%.
I love Lanzini, but he should be nowhere near a double pivot role unless it's Norwich or Burnley or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Like
unless it's a team who are going to sit off you. If it's a bad team who are going to sit off you, then I think that's fine.
I'll get more into it when we get to Moyes, but he literally tried to fight fire with fire and he got fucking burned.
I agree. There is something majorly wrong at this club why Alex Crowell is here. I don't believe Alex Crowell. I don't think Moyes wanted Crowell. I think Souček and Kafel probably talked him into it. And said, well, he'll come over on a loan deal or some crap. It's the most bizarre loan I've ever seen at West Ham. It's up there with some of the signings that we've signed in the past. We've had like
does a lot.
And we've had some crap signings over the years. If I was to go through them all, we'd be here till tomorrow. You know what I mean? But I just don't understand it. I don't know what Crowell's got to do. I don't know what he's done. I think even if Lanzini was out today, I think Moyes goes changes his system and puts Fornals there, puts Yamalenko on the left or something like that. He's just upset Moyes in a way that I just cannot work out.
Maybe it's his hair. I don't know.
I just think it's Moyes being stubborn, and I think Moyes has come to the stage now where he's just got no faith in this kid, and I don't understand it. How can you judge a man when you've not even seen him play? But It's baffling. It's not.
So, for example, what West Ham Online saying now, playing devil's advocate, Charlie, I imagine Moyes wanted to fight fire with fire. Knowing they play in man-to-man, Lanzini's balls from deep were probably something Moyes valued over Kral's defensive ability. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but what I would say is this: Lanzini could have played in it could have been a 3-man midfield. It could have been Lanzini playing in a 10, and you switch out Fornals or Vlasic, which I think Fornals on his second half performance last week maybe didn't warrant dropping, and Vlasic is getting into the game, so I wouldn't want to drop him either. But what I would say is that even in the second half, at half time, where it was clear it wasn't working, you could bring Kral on to allow that to happen. And then Lanzini's going to drop so deep that and all of a sudden those centre-backs aren't going to keep pumping it long because they're going to have more options to pass to. I think it's not necessarily the double pivot issue. It's more the fact that the double pivot was Rice and Lanzini, and it should have been Rice and Kral, essentially.
I just don't understand.
It's sort of common sense, though, isn't it, though, Charlie? And I asked this to the Perriers before Lucas comes in. Yeah, Kral plays in that's a natural position for Kral, and we can't get him on the pitch.
I just don't understand. We all know this. Everyone knows this. We never do well when we dominate possession. 2, normally we don't like an open-ended game like that back and forth. We like to sit in and counterattack. You're not going to do that against Leeds. That's like that's the rare side where we're not going to be able to do 2 of those things: dominate possession and then succeed in that kind of open play. That today we should have got stuck in counterattacked, but we didn't because we didn't have the personnel. Like I said, the tactics I don't argue with because we use the same tactics technically with whoever's on the pitch, but the personnel was wrong.
100% agree. Well, let's get into it with Lanzini, Charlie. What do you reckon of him today? Running there.
Also, just to come back to that point, Kral played more minutes for Spartak Moscow before he joined West Ham than he's played for West Ham since he joined. Anyway, complete madness. Same as Declan Rice, apart from he just didn't have the driving runs. Thought his passing was probably slightly better, but I think defensively he was overawed. A lot of times he was left to it by himself, and it sort of exposed him. I think there's been games like Burnley when he's played that defensive midfield role where you go, oh, there's an option here. I think today showed all of the holes in his defensive midfield game that we should know, but now are just abundantly clear to us when it's a team like Leeds, when it's a better team than someone like Burnley or a team who are going to sit deep. Then I don't think it's something we should be looking at to do anytime soon again. Poor performance. I'll probably give him a 5. If I'm giving Rice a 5, I'll probably give him a 5 as well. But yeah, lackluster from that position.
Lucas?
To be honest, if Lanzini plays in his natural position, I maybe give him a 6 today. But it's not the rating that I'm giving him today is not his fault. He's not a fucking defensive midfielder. I think a 5 is more than fair. And like I said, the rating's not his fault. He was put in that position. He's not going to tell Moyes no. That's not what we do around here. A 5 is more than fair, but he's not a defensive midfielder. And to be honest with you, I think we would have done better today if you maybe put Fornals in that role and let Lanzini up top. But shoulda, woulda, coulda, 5. I think a 4 would be harsh just because, the guy's playing in a position he has no business being in. So 5.
I agree, mate, with everything both of you just said there. I'm going to give him a 5-0. I'm with you on this one. He's played 3 games in a week. He scored last week. He played against Norwich, and he's played today. He done okay in spells, but it's not his natural position. I agree with you.
He's 5'6", 5'7", weighs, if lucky, 100 pounds. Conte is 5'5", but he's got a little sturdiness to him, and that's his natural position. There's going to be people out there that are going to say, it doesn't matter. He was on the pitch. It does matter. That's like asking Craig Dawson to play striker.
Well, maybe next week. You know what I mean?
Maybe
moving on.
Stay tuned for next week.
Stay tuned for next week's show. Craig Dawson up front. Moving on to this man, Nikola Vlasic. Got subbed on the 60th minute mark. I wasn't impressed today. What was your thoughts, Charlie?
Yeah, neither was I. I really wanted it to happen, and it just didn't today for me. I don't know.
Let
I
me
don't
ask you
understand.
this, Charlie. Let me ask you this
Go on.
quickly before you come in, mate. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
feel
you
free.
find that this man, like, this is a big week? This was a big week for Vlasic. Like the FA
Mm,
Cup game, the Norwich game in the week,
yeah,
and today's game. Me and Lucas spoke in the week, and basically Lucas made a valid point, and now Lucas is going to be a bit biased because he's a fellow Croat. But Lucas
I
did
really wanted to
say,
go first, to be
yeah.
honest with you.
But
So.
Lucas did say something brilliant. He said, "I need to see something now from him, like because this is his moment now. Like Ben Rama's out the
yeah.
picture. I there's nothing. There's nothing there, is there? Or am I just looking at it with my rose tinted glasses?"
I don't think there's nothing there, but I don't think it was a good performance by any stretch of imagination. I think it was a very
Mm,
nothing-y performance. I can't name many things he did incredibly, but then again, I can't name many things he did poorly. I think he all too often finds. I think in his worst performances for me, the game passes him by, and I don't know whether that's because he's just again. I knew him before coming to West Ham. I knew him as a number 10, almost second striker esque attacking midfielder, playing
mm,
centrally, finding space. Raudum Deuter, Thomas Muller, Dele Alli in his prime, looking for those kind of spaces. And Moy seems obsessed with putting him on the left for some reason, and I don't know why. Because when he first came, and Fornals was a really good central attacking midfielder, and he shoved him out on the left. Now that worked out. That worked out. But then today you had Fornals and Vlasic on the pitch. It seemed like the perfect opportunity, and yet for some reason we still have Vlasic on the left and Fornals down the middle. Now we'll get onto Fornals in a minute, but with Vlasic, I think it just lessens potentially the impact he can have. I don't know. Maybe Moyes sees that strength he has because he's a strong guy. And there were a couple of times today where he was on the ball and Leeds tried to tackle him and he just essentially bullied them away from the ball. Like they
mm.
would come, they would try to barge him off, they would try to do anything, and he would just be like, nope. And continue. And maybe Moyes sees that as a useful trait to have down the left hand side where he can be impactful like that. But yeah, nothing key performance. I don't think he did anything particularly badly, but I don't think he did anything particularly well either. And I think him coming off, someone had to come off, I guess, but um, someone had to come off in order to
That
bring
was a
people
dreadful
on. But
substitution.
to bring on Masuaku,
Yeah.
okie dokie, that's a decision, isn't it?
That's a Moyes chat later on, lads.
Yeah, but for me, I'll say 5 because I really think like I don't think he did anything particularly badly, and I don't think he did anything particularly well. I'll say 5. I'll say
Mm,
5. I will say that the people who are blaming him for the third goal, I think, are just wrong. There's so many problems in that third goal that if we want to pinpoint him as the issue, not the pass from Diop, not the pass from Cresswell, not the complete lack of defending from anybody, including Declan Rice. If we want to sit there and go, it's Vlasic's fault, I'm not sure about that.
mm.
So I would say 5. I would say 5.
Lucas, by the looks of it, disagrees. What do you
Also,
think,
I'll
Lucas?
say this, Lucas. It's better you go second because what you want to do is you want to be the counterpoint.
No, I'm a little disappointed.
Oh, okay.
I'm giving him a 4. I thought I think that is a picture perfect 4 that he put in today. And while I agree with you that I don't think he's at total fault for the third goal, I think it's mostly his fault. I'm not going to proportion the fault of goal,
Mm,
but I mean, Diop's pass, not the greatest. I knew it was an absolute fucking piss missile coming at his foot, but he's a professional footballer at the end of the day. He's got to be able to somewhat control it better, which he did. Gives the ball away, and they score. And yes, we're scattered all over the place, but he gave the ball away. If he doesn't give the ball away there for a goal, I probably agree on a 5. But that to me was so extremely dreadful. What happened? I cannot do better than a 4. I think a 4 is as fair as it gets. And he did all right on ball today. He was I don't know where the weakness stuff came from because after always watching him, I knew he was kind of a strong player. Not like he's going to push people off the ball like Antonio, but he stands his ground and
mm.
can and can do his thing. I've never understood that angle, but he did that all right today, but not a good game at all. Not a good game at all. I give him a 4, and I'm really disappointed with the 2-game assessment where I thought he would get 2 goal contributions. And I told James earlier this week or last week, can't remember, he could have had 2 against Norwich. That penalty he should have won where he got absolutely assaulted. That should have been an assist. And then he did get fouled in the box, his shirt tugged, which in my opinion is a foul, which should result in a penalty. So my 2 goal contribution wish did not come true. But I was disappointed today, and a 4 for me.
I'm giving this geezer a 4, mate. I'm not impressed at all. I really am not. He's £33.5 million worth of talent that we've signed from Russia. He's the most expensive player to come this summer transfer window, and I'm sorry, but he's just not cutting it at all. People keep telling me, give him time, he'll come good. For me, his time is now. This week he's had time, and in the space of a week, he played well last week against a reserve team in Leeds. Against Norwich, he was okay, and today he was lacklustre and non-existent for me. He didn't do anything to change the course of the game. His balls are coming in, he's going up for an header, and he's just jumping with the man. He's not trying to get his head on it. For me, £33.5 million should be spent elsewhere and should have been, and I'm pretty adamant on that. He's just not good enough at present, and we're missing Ben Rama. And people need to understand that it's not a scapegoat, right, at West Ham, but there's no excuses now. Like, people can't slag off Ben Rama when Ben Rama's not there. Do you know what I mean?
I still think Vlasic is going to come good, but there's just no defending that display today. I thought it was pretty shit, to be honest.
So yeah, I'm going to give him a 4, mate. It's just
I still love you, Nicola. Still love you.
It's just the same old Vlasic. Moving on to this man now. This is going to get interesting. Also, Pablo Fornals. Charlie, was you shocked when he got subbed? Yes or no?
Yeah, he was growing into the game.
Yes, he was.
And he'd also just scored a very, very good goal.
That was a great finish.
A very nice finish. Not something that I would normally attribute to Pablo Fornals, who usually barely hits a barn door with a banjo.
It's not even the subs either. It's who it's for that is just so gut-wrenching.
It's just
continue.
A lot of it made no sense, bro. A lot of it made no sense. No, I don't understand why we subbed him at the time we did. He was growing into the game. He was becoming more and more important. His first time passing was becoming a big problem for Leeds. He was scoring. He was doing bits and pieces. And then he got taken off.
Which makes no sense, mate.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say that, we laugh about it now. But hours have gone past.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was going mad. I could not believe what I was seeing. And bringing on Yamalenko for him, just...
I can't remember what it was. I can't remember who was running onto it. It was either Antonio
I can't wait to get into that today. The bench was fucking terrible. That's got to be to date, the worst bench I have ever seen at this club. Genuinely, that was the worst I've ever seen.
I mean, I've seen one with more than one goalkeeper before, and there was one last season, or I think, which was like
I've seen many bad benches over the years.
Like,
I'd rather see Darren Randolph on the bench over Yamalenko. Honestly,
we can get onto that later. I guess I disagree, but I'd say this: like, there was a moment in the second half, I think it was, where someone got played through. It was either Rice or Antonio, and I was like, "Oh, that's a good pass. Who was that?" And then when the replay happened, I was like, "Oh yeah, of course it was Fornals. Of course it was. He's the best passer in his team. He was the second best West Ham player on the pitch for me today. I'll give him a 6. And I think if he stayed on, we could have done something different. But for some reason, and I genuinely cannot understand it, David Moyes subbed him off. And it wasn't like he was playing bad. It's not like we've got a midweek game to rest him for or anything like that. David Moyes went, no.
And he looked pissed off.
He did not look happy. But as classic Pablo Fornals, he sprinted as fast as he could off the bench to make the substitution quick as possible.
Yeah,
He's a baller. But six for me. Second best
Six.
player on the pitch for West Ham.
6 for Charlie. Lucas, give me your thoughts on Pablo.
He got us back in the game when we needed him to. I mean, he's arguably the hardest worker on the pitch. I really would have liked, if we're ever going to do that double pivot again where we have Lanzini and Fornals, I'd really like to see Fornals maybe in the more defensive role because he naturally just works harder than Lanzini. Not saying Lanzini did not try today. I think he was, like I said, a victim of the tactics we were playing. But the goal was it was a great finish, beautiful finish. I just can't. I want to give him a 7, but I can't. Like he is arguably the best passer of the ball at our club. Bless you, Charlie. A high 6 for me. I would not be mad if someone gave him a 7, but I'm going to give him a 6.
I thought in the first half, I thought he was in and out. I thought he was in and out. I thought he was trying, and I thought Leeds were very good in the first half. I must admit. I thought second half when he came out after half time, I thought he was excellent, first class, and then he gets subbed. I'm going to give him a 6 because I just don't think it's enough for a 7. I think the goal was a great goal.
But if he stayed on the pitch longer, I think a 7 could have been doable because he grows into the game. 7. He grows into the game. That has been my final conclusion with Pablo Fornals. If he starts off the game shit, I know he's going to turn it around. He's done it he's done it most of the time he's been at this club, which I really appreciate.
I got to agree on that. So yeah, I'm going to give him a 6. Very, very disappointed in him getting subbed, but we'll get onto that later on. Moving on to this man, Jared Bowen. I feel sorry for this kid tonight, mate. He's probably sitting at home, right, thinking about that miss rather than his performance today. I see people slagging him off on Instagram, on Twitter, and all that. They need to shut their mouths. This geezer's one of the reasons why we're performing and where we are at present. Yeah. Charlie, what do you reckon today on Mr. Jared Bowen?
The best player on the pitch for me. The man of the match for West Ham for me.
Man is a baller.
If that final chance goes in, I don't think there's anything you can be really critical of his game. I thought he worked really hard. I thought he did.
He probably gets a 9 if that goes in. Honestly,
probably. He did the defensive side well. He got forward well. If we were ever going to score, it was going to be him. Like he just did everything right for me today. I thought he was really good. Not his best performance by any stretch of imagination, but still a very solid performance. It's a 7, but he's the best player on the pitch for West Ham by a not insignificant distance. Like you both said, if Fornals maybe stayed on, there could be some arguments and maybe the game would be different. But as it stood, Bowen was the clear man of the match for West Ham for me.
What do you make of the before I move to Lucas? What do you make of the criticism he got for that missed chance? Shocking.
Like, don't get me wrong, I agree, put it in the net, but like at the same time, I don't think it's as easy as just duck your head and header it. I don't think it's that easy. It comes at him very awkwardly. There's a deflection and a build up to it as it's crossing in. It's not like there's a deflection and then it comes to him. No, it's like directly it deflects to him, sort of thing. It's not something that's easy. It's not something that's easy. Don't get me wrong. I was like, oh, please.
Playing a game with your feet is hard.
Right, you know what I mean? So he went with his chest. Why not? Listen, he's completed it with his head now. He's scoring at us for fun. He's scoring with his feet. Now he's gone, right, let's see what the chest does. No. Yeah, it's a shame, but I think it's too harsh to criticize him too heavily for it, to be honest. Like when it's coming at you that quick, you have to make a split-second decision. And, you know, the split-second decision was like, it's coming here. I'm just going to have to try and do what I do any angles. And unfortunately, it doesn't happen.
His chest said, we'll be seeing you.
We'll be seeing you. And let's be real. Like, we would have got a draw. Yeah, we would have got a draw if the defenders weren't terrible. We would have got lots of other things. That's far from the biggest issue in the game today.
I agree. Lucas, what do you reckon, Bowie?
Easy 7. I don't know how this guy keeps scoring with his head. It's unbelievable, to be honest with you. But I mean, the guy, I think he's now officially in Declan Rice territory where the guy just bare minimum puts in a 7 out of 10 every single match, in my opinion. That last goal or the last attempt, it hurts. It really hurts. It's a difficult one. It's an interesting one as well. Interesting one.
It's an interesting one.
Like, again, I don't know what's going through his head, but like me, I'm putting a head on it and not my chest. And if I am gonna put my chest on it, he should probably try and control it and like ride it into the goal. You know what I mean? Like run into the goal instead of chesting it in, if that makes sense.
See, I'm loving the movements from Lucas. It's like the ball's already coming
He's
into
living it.
Like you know how when you're showing off your techs, like when the ball gets to your chest, you're just flipping and all that. Like if he would have just like tried to catch it on his chest and like run it in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that would have been a little smarter. But I mean, Jared Bowen's class. He's a 7 out of 10 bare minimum, week in, week out, practically. And I really do feel bad for him. Like I said, he say, she say, what you could have done. I would have put my head on it. He put his chest on it. He's making the P's. I'm not. So, and he saved us many times. Guy's a baller. Man knows ball. 7.
He does.
He's one of our best players. You can argue he's been more important to us than Rice, but
I want to say this as well because I've been like, people who've seen like my watch alongs or whatever for one of the joys about doing watch alongs, James, is that every single moment you say stuff and then people can hold you to task for that stuff because you say it constantly non-stop, right? And I would never have guessed coming into this season that I would be the most confident in Jared Bowen of all the players putting the ball in the net. I thought that guy shot, if anything, too often. I was like, they're never going in. He just needs to stop. He needs to look up. And like the fact he keeps scoring is just such a credit to the work he's putting in to become a better, more well-rounded player. Like it really is, because like it would be easy to rest on your laurels. And no, he's not. And I think the fact that it's not just West Ham fans now talking about him being called up for England, it's more than that. Shows that everything he's putting in is worth it. More so than being linked to Liverpool. Actually, saying this kid should be in the England squad, I think is a much bigger credit to how much he's putting in than being linked to Liverpool ever would be, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm going 7. I fucking love Danny. I almost said Danny Bowen, but I love that Danny. For long may it continue. I need Danny Dyer to keep courting Sir Jared Dyer. Sir Jaredinho.
Get married, take her surname. Let's get it going.
Yes,
Jared
yes, take her surname.
I'm gonna give him a 7. I am. I agree with you.
Dyer, that's a cheeky shout.
I'll give Bowen a 7. He's excellent, mate. He really is. And I agree with what you just said there, Charlie. He's starting to take his chances. I remember doing this player ratings with Affers on American Hammers last year. I spoke to you about it this year with Bowen. If he takes his chances, he becomes not just a good player, but a top-class player. He's taking his chances now, and we're seeing the benefit of it. The chance that he missed is harsh. Like, all these people criticising him that I've heard tonight, saying, slagging him off. They need to
credit to the boys for keeping him up too.
Think about what he's done this season so far. Don't use him as a scapegoat because it's one chance that he's had.
It happens.
He's missed the worse of chances than that. Let's put it like that this season, even at the start of the season. So I'm going to give him a 7. He's top drawer. He's getting better, and I do feel that this kid is progressing. Moyes wants other players to progress, and he really deserves it.
It's nice to see on Instagram, Twitter, or whatever, the boys are backing him. Like Declan Rice was like, "What are you worried about? You're one of the main reasons why we're here."
Yeah, but what it is with that Instagram, I saw that, so he's thinking that he's let the team down, and I just hope that don't rock his confidence now.
Unfortunately, it's either gonna be a boost for him or a downer. And I think the way Jared Bowen is, I think he's going to use that as motivation. So I think we'll be all right.
I agree, mate. Moving on to a man who don't score with his head anymore. Scored 1 goal with his head this season, I think it is, against Southampton. He's Mikel Antonio. And for me, Charlie, I wasn't impressed with him either today. What do you make of Mr. Mikel Antonio?
4, pointless. Move on.
Is he lucky to be on the pitch today, Charlie?
He's lucky to be a professional footballer, bro. The guy can't do it. Like, what are you doing? Where did you go? What happened to you? Last season, one of the best strikers in the Premier League. This season, you look like if you put me on a Premier League football pitch. What's going on?
And he still somehow scores and gets assists.
It's
crazy.
I honestly, like, yeah, 4. I just...
What did you... I know it's an hard one, right?
If you really want to bring Yamalenko on, bring it on for Antonio. What are you doing, you weirdo?
He was lucky not to get sent off, wasn't he, in that first half? He was roaming around. He puts that slide.
That fucking tackle was so stupid.
It was right in front of Mike Dean. Like, you're just asking for it. Like, it's just...
You're asking for the worst official in modern times to just send you off.
Yeah.
I don't understand. It's just petulant. It was dumb. It was dumb. I don't. Yeah, 4. I don't see the point in Mikel Antonio being on a football pitch most of the time right now. If I thought he was coming back into form, and then today I was like, oh no, he's not. Okay, right, fair enough. Fair enough. I was wrong about that. We move.
Yeah. Listen, mate. Do you know what? I agree with you on that one, Lucas. What do you make of it?
I'm going to give him a 4, and that's being very level-headed, kind, because I love him. I love him to bits. I really do, but he was just absolutely shit today. Maybe if Jared Bowen gets that goal in and he gets an assist, maybe give him a 5.
He did get an assist for Pablo Fornals' goal. If you want to go back and remember
got an assist for that.
No, what he done, he kicked the ball up in the air, miscontrolled it, sliced it to Pablo, and he done the rest. So,
again, I love this guy so much. I have his kit, for God's sake, but his passing is so diabolical.
Yeah, I agree.
He's got to be
that chipped cross thing he did was atrocious.
His passing is so bad when it doesn't involve like a drag back or a cutback pass into the box. But even then, most of the time it's very like, oh my God. But this guy cannot pass. He lost us possession like 400 times today.
No, someone said it today. Mitchell said it to me. The show I done before come on here. He gave the ball away 29 times.
And there was one game he gave the ball away like 12 to 14. It was bananas. And someone today, I can't remember who it was, and if you're in the chat, please show yourself. Someone said that it wasn't a problem today because Leeds were also giving the ball away. That makes completely no sense. It doesn't matter if it was an open game or not. If we control possession better, we could maybe win. But Antonio gave the ball away. You said 29?
29 times. That's what Mitchell said.
I knew it was close to 400. But like one player on the pitch cannot give the ball away 14 times, let alone 29. That is abysmal. And like I said before, someone said it wasn't a big issue because Leeds were also giving the ball away. That makes no bloody sense at all. None. And I just have really no words. He played so bad. He's definitely one of the. I tweeted, I was like, there's about 6 players that had a 4 out of 10 today, and he's easily one of them. You could probably give him a 3, but I'm disappointed. And for the love of God, get a fucking striker in this club.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
So he can at least because I mean, every player deserves criticism when they play bad. No one is bigger than the club when it comes to that. But like, again, it just speaks volumes when Antonio comes out and says we need another striker. It just that's all I need to hear.
It does, mate. It
And
does.
it's not going to escape his poor performance, but please, I don't care who it is. We just need someone who can play that position.
So, what's your rating? A 4, Lucas? Yeah.
4, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 3. I thought it was absolutely dreadful. He can't pass. He can't cross. The cross he does put in for Bowen takes a deflection. That's why it's a decent cross. And the most embarrassing thing I see today was that Craig Dawson is in the final third. He holds up the ball better than Mikel Antonio.
And I'm still sick of him doing throw-ins. It is.
He works hard. He gets about the pitch. He gets stuck in. Yeah, I get all that. But he's not a striker. And until we buy a proper striker who knows where the back of the net is, who will make them runs, he likes to bully defenders and all that and gives it all that. But sometimes he gets bullied and he goes missing. Also, the stupidity of doing that flying tackle straight in front of Mike Dean, who's one of the worst refs in the league for sending people off, is just embarrassing and truly shambolic, in my opinion. Listen, it's no agenda against Mikel Antonio. I think he's done great things at West Ham. But if West Ham are going to progress, we need better players than Mikel Antonio. I keep saying it, and I'll keep banging the drum, because at the end of the day, he was nowhere to be seen today. Nowhere. And Jared Bowen has gone from nowhere to the main man at West Ham now. And Mickey should be doing that. He's been here he's one of the longest serving players at the club, along with Cresswell and Nobes and Abona. He should be performing.
Again, he's a victim of what's going on, sadly. Again, there is no Norwich have 3 strikers. Why the fuck does West Ham only have 1? It doesn't make sense.
Very true, mate.
Like I said, no one is besides criticism, but I think we can all agree Antonio is a little bit of a victim of what's going on, but still does not. You cannot play that shit. It's just unacceptable.
I agree, Lucas. I agree. So it's a 3 for me. Moving on to the subs. What we'll do is we'll go. We will. Where are we? We'll do this. We'll do Sonny Perkins first. He comes on, quick rating. Didn't really do nothing, did he, Charlie?
Yeah, I guess 5, because I can't really remember. He didn't really do much. There was one moment where he could have got the ball, where he ran into a good position, and I think it was Antonio. It was someone I was annoyed with, so it was either Antonio or Rice. I just remember being like, bro, why did you not do that? So it must have been someone I was annoyed with. Should have played the ball to him and didn't. When he was in a good position instead, I think maybe it went out to Antonio on the left or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, there was an opportunity. But yeah, there's nothing to really say apart from that.
I'm probably it was 5 minutes. I would put him down as a no rating just because it was 5 minutes. But if I did have to rate him, I'd give him. I don't know where you guys stand. I think 6 is average. I think 6 is average, decent. 5 like below average, decent. So if I don't know what the proper scale is. I think it's subjective all the time. But to me, I thought he was a 6. I thought he made a handful of decent, good runs that he probably should have gotten a chance or two at a shot. But that's just my opinion. I think a 6 for 5 minutes is fair, but in my estimation, I would give it a no rating. It was 5 minutes.
No rating. That's fair enough. I'll give him a 5. He come on. He looked lively. I felt sorry for him, if I'm being honest. I thought the poor geezer's coming on the pitch to try and save us. A youngster coming on to try and save West Ham United Football Club. It's fucking embarrassing. But yeah, I'll give him a 5. Moving on to this man, Arthur Mazawaku, who I'm going to start off with him. He comes on for Vlasic. This is going to be an interesting one, right? Because I'm going to ask you both a question here. When I look at him, he comes on today. If we change system and we go, say, with wing backs, yeah, is that a good sub to bring on? But to bring him on to play as a left-sided winger, he's really taking the piss from him, isn't it? Really, let's be honest.
I think in general it's a bad sub. Don't
What do
get
you
me
reckon?
wrong. Don't get me wrong. Vlasic was incredibly poor today, but again, I think Vlasic is a player where, and you could see Vlasic was really pissed off at himself. He came off with a shirt over his head. He was not happy, which is a good sign. Clearly, shows he gives a shit. I still think Vlasic is the type of player where I think he can maybe like turn it around or play a little better after making a stupid mistake. And I'd rather watch and see Vlasic maybe try and turn it around than see Masuaku come on the pitch. That's me personally. I don't care if it's a wing back or left wing sub. But I mean, yeah, I just think it was a horrible substitution. I don't hate Arthur Masuaku, but it's for what we're trying to do. It's a terrible sub.
What do you reckon, Charlie? Right sub or wrong sub, wrong position?
I don't necessarily think it was the right sub, but I think you don't change anything. The system's not working, so you do a like for like substitution. I really understand it. If you brought him on as the wing back, I'm not saying that was the answer, but at least you're trying something. You're shoring up the defense, getting an extra man in there that should allow Rice and Lanzini to move a bit more freely. You have wing backs who can drop deep. Then you can maybe get forward and see some deeper crosses from both Kufal and Masuaku. Maybe that works to some extent a little bit better.
Yeah,
I don't think it would have, but at least it's trying something different. And instead, what he did is he was like, "No, yeah, I'll solve the issue."
And I don't think Masuaku
doesn't solve the issue.
And I don't think Masuaku was that bad when he came on, but still, he's not good. In my opinion, I don't think he's going to offer you more than Vlasic has already given.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad, but he does the same thing over and over again. He'll get the ball, he'll go forward, he won't take a man on, and he'll check back and pass it sideways or back.
He at least, though, was not at fault for any of the goals. We can say that. Yeah,
I know, but he didn't do anything in the final third. Like even in the attacking third, I'm thinking, well, you're supposed to be a pacey player.
I'll cut it short. I'm giving him a 5, but not like
I'm agreeing with a 5.
Not a dreadful 5. But like I said, I don't think. I just think the sub was wrong, and I don't think Masuaku offers you more than Vlasic, even when Vlasic made a terrible mistake that led to a goal. I think, like I said, I think Vlasic is a type of player where I think he's almost like Fornals, where he messes up or has a terrible first half. I think he is going to rebound and perform better. And I think I would have rather wanted to take that gamble on Vlasic, seeing him if he turns it around, rather than seeing Masuaku on the pitch.
I'm with both of you on that. I'll give him a 5. I don't think he was flamboyant or great. I don't think he was awful, really. Do you know what I mean? So a pretty simple rating from us 3. Moving on to this man. Now, this is going to be interesting because, it's Andre Yamalenko. I agree that he shouldn't be at the club anymore with a lot of other fans. But was he really that bad when he come on? Really? What do you reckon, Charlie?
Oh, no. This one I understood slightly more in that he does give you something different. You are getting someone who's in and around. Well, we can argue on the quality of the difference, but he at least is gonna. You know what he's going to be doing, right? He's going to pick up the ball, he's going to put it onto his stronger foot, and he's going to start peppering the goal. He's going to try, right? And to be fair, he did put the ball in there, even though it didn't count. But
I did not get that. How is it offside?
Bowen was offside.
So when the first one comes in from Soufal,
I must have didn't see him. He must have been camouflaged.
Bowen's in an offside position, and so when Meslier saves it and Bowen hits it the next time, he's offside.
Yeah.
Which is correct. Annoying, but correct. Yeah. I don't think he was too bad. I think he at least gives you something different, whereas Masuaku was just giving you the same but worse. I don't really understand that one. Whereas this, I was like, at least there is a viable difference in what's going to happen here. And he wasn't too bad. Again, I'll say 5 again, because I don't think he did anything particularly wrong. Equally, I think he maybe 1 or 2 instances where you're like, oh, but nothing Nothing
I'm gonna
remarkable.
give him a 5 as well, and I'll even give him a cheeky compliment.
Oh,
A cheeky compliment.
Cheeky
come
compliment
on.
coming up.
He
Get
come
hyped, everyone.
on, and he's done something that he hasn't done all season. He kind of
Oh.
like tried to like carry the ball forward.
I thought you were going to say shoot with his left foot.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, he really is trolling us with that. I will go to the grave.
You
saying
convinced
that.
James of this now because I saw James YouTube it earlier or messaging it. I can't
He
remember what it
does
was.
it. I'm telling you, but the cheeky compliment, he did try and carry the ball forward today from the middle of the pitch. And to be honest with you, as much as I don't enjoy watching him play, I like the guy, but I don't enjoy watching him play foot. I would not mind maybe seeing him not like middle of the pitch like a midfielder, but like if he were to get stuck in the hole and try and like carry the ball forward, I'd rather see that than him just flailing around on the wing, especially tracking back to the guy. Just looks like he's having a jog, which personally frustrates the life out of me. But I'm gonna give him a 5. He didn't do anything bad today, except flail around.
I'm gonna give him a 6, mate. I am. And this is gonna be like, people might go, James, you might be mad or something. But if you weigh up what he done and you weigh up what Antonio done on goal, he's nearly scored. And if that goes in, he's an hero. He also has another shot that Mignolet saves. Basically, I thought he was all right. I thought he come on. He got stuck in. He was he come running back. Don't have fouled, didn't he? Like a yellow card because he's trying his hardest to get the ball. Yeah, I think for the time he was on the pitch, I think he deserves a 6. I think listen, I'm not saying I want him at the club. Don't get me wrong. I think it's time to go, as them famous words I've always said. But at the end of the day, for his performance today, he weren't that bad, and other players were. But we'll get, which is sadly the truth. Moving on to our final two of the evening, and I'm going to start off with Moyes. I know this one's going to be a longer one. Take it away, Charlie, because I think this one's going to be very graphic.
I can keep it short. He got the setup wrong. He got the substitutions wrong. What are you doing? 3. Give me just like the one good point I can think of. The one good point I can think of. Actually, I'll give him 2 good points. The first one is he at least brought on a youth player. Now, he didn't really have any other options on the bench, but he brought on every other senior player he could before he brought on a youth player, but he at least brought one on, which is something he never usually do. So fair enough. Okay, fair. And the other one is we did come out very briefly after halftime and we looked like we're up for it. And for that, I'll give him credit because maybe he fired up the boys. I don't know if he did, but I'll give him that credit. Yeah. Outside of that, though, you got the setup wrong. You didn't learn your lesson from previously, which you learned. It wasn't even a different manager. You learned this. You got the substitutions horrendously wrong. Like Masuaku, just I don't get it. And Yamalenko, even then, as much as I can see a plus side to it, I still don't fully understand it. Yeah. The bench was just weird to begin with. You don't have to have that bench if you don't want to. I understand we don't have many fit senior players, but you can make it more balanced by using youth players if you really want to. But for some reason,
buying a player or two,
or buying a player or two.
That'd
3, nice. I can't sit here and say he did anything well. It's just stupidity on my part. I just can't. I can't figure it out. Most of the time, James, when he does something, and you know me, I don't like this. I haven't liked him ever. So, but most of the time when he does something, I can at least see the rationale. Even if I disagree with it, I can at least go, all right, he's trying to do this. I think it might be the wrong thing to do, but at least I can see what he's trying to do. Sometimes today, I couldn't even figure that out. I'm like, what are you seeing? What are you thinking? What am I missing? What am I missing? Because it must be me, because I'm not the paid Premier League manager. But like, what am I missing here? And I can't figure it out for the life of me. I just can't. Is this
one of the worst performances from Moyes this season, Charlie?
It's up there. Yeah, it's up there, definitely. I can't think of many worse.
Yeah.
I'm trying off the top. You, like I always say, you're the guy with the memory, not me.
Right.
I can't think of
I would say it's up there with the Manchester United bringing Noble off. It's as bad as that. like bringing
Yeah.
Noble on for the penalty. I feel, because I know I'll bring Lucas in a minute. I feel with this, he's completely took the absolute piss today. Really bad in all aspects. I think. And his interview after summed it up for me. He's blaming the Norwich game, like in the week, and I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, come on, like where is Alex Crowell? Like we've discussed it earlier on. Right, he sits on the bench. He's getting paid a wage. He don't play. All right. The substitutes make no sense. I do not know why Pablo Fornals was subbed. And Charlie and Lucas, you both know I'm like that with Pablo Fornals. I'm up and down. And I was going mad when I saw that. I was like, what are you doing? Like, Lanzini should have been subbed. Right, that's the man who really should have been subbed today, Lanzini. Lucas, what do you reckon?
I'm gonna give Moyes a. I gotta go a 3. Tactics, as always, in my opinion, are correct. His tactics are correct. The setup was not correct. Again, I said earlier, he tried to fight fire with fire. I know it's Leeds. They've got some hurt players, but their name of the game, their aim of the game is to always disrupt. They run forever, they press forever. That is what they do, no matter who's in the game. He tried to fight fire with Lanzini being Declan's partner in a pivot. Dreadful. Crowell has to be there for me. If anything, I'd rather see Fornals next to Rice because I'd rather have someone who's lacking pace or press up the pitch in that 4-2-3-1 rather than in the pivot. But the substitutions were absolute shit. Half his fault, half not, because we have shit players on the bench. And
yeah, but isn't that his fault? I know.
Yeah, it's half and half. It's his fault that
because I look at this game,
we don't have the players, and then it's the other half.
He should have signed some players, though, shouldn't he? Like, we all know it.
And he also can maybe again, and his substitution timing is not too great either. It's probably on par with Pellegrini, to be honest with you. Pellegrini was fucking dreadful with subs, and Moyes has been dreadful as well. But yeah, I just don't agree with the fighting fire with fire. A Crowell has to be in there for me to either slow the game down or at least get stuck in. Lanzini's not going to get stuck in defensively. It's just, even though Lanzini did have a couple tackles a day, they were just like standard fundamental tackles that any Premier League player should be making. But a 3 out of 10 from me.
I'm going to give him a 3 and all. I'm with you both. I'm so angry with him today. I think, like what you said earlier, Charlie, when I think about it, you are right on what you're saying. You play Lanzini in there, you're allowing Rice to go forward, and we all know that Lanzini is not the best defensive midfield player that we've got. He ain't even a defensive midfield player. I think the sub, as I said earlier about Pablo Fornals, I think we could sit here and do a show on it, and we still wouldn't be able to work out what he was saying. I don't understand that. I don't know what Oko Flex has got to do to get in, on this pitch. He scores goals in the under-23s.
Be about 15 years older and maybe he gets some game time. I don't know.
Yeah, he's played for Celtic, he's played for Arsenal, but he can't get on the pitch for West Ham United. I just think it's just a bad day all round for Moyes. And this week's a big week. I think if we don't sign someone by the Manchester United game, the fans will not be impressed. They will start venting their anger towards either Moyes or the Bold. And I actually don't think it's the Bold. I think it's Mr. Moyes. I think Moyes is one stubborn bastard. He's becoming a right stubborn fucker. And it proved it today, mate. We've got a defensive midfield player sitting on the bench and he just doesn't use it. And I just don't understand why. I really don't. Deflating is the word I'm looking for. Gutted. Absolute gutted. Really am.
Yeah.
And finally, the ref. What do you make of the ref today, Charlie? Mr. Dean?
You know me, I don't concentrate on referees. There was
VAR.
a moment with the slide tackle with Antonio where I felt like there was an opportunity for it to get away from him, and it didn't in the end. Everyone sort of calmed down after a while, and tempers chilled, and it wasn't so explosive. They looked like there was a moment where it really was all going to kick off, and it didn't. So fair enough. But yeah, I don't really 5, 6, whatever. I got like nothing to report really. No decisions I felt that were particularly wrong. No decisions I felt were particularly right. Just sort of there.
What about you, Lucas?
You know, I hate Mike Dean a lot. Maybe more than the devil himself. Him and Friend. Those are my two. I hate them to bits. I really do. I wish nothing but the worst for them in their lives besides death, in sickness. Like, they're the type of people I hope that, like, when they're walking, a bird shits on them. That's the type. That's what I'm going for. But, you know, today, Mike Dean was not bad. That was probably the best officiated Mike Dean match I've seen in years.
I agree.
Maybe centuries. Because it seems like he's been around for a millennium. 6. But I still hope a bird shits on him every time he walks outside.
I'll just say
him
this
and
now.
Kevin Friend.
I quite like Mike Dean. I think he's ridiculous, and I kind of vibe it.
Yeah.
You know, I can only respect you saying that because you're like me, and I have different opinions to that level. But I hate what you just said.
I must admit, I'm glad I had you boys on tonight. I had a good laugh when it comes to the bird shitting on Mike Dean's head. I agree with you, Lucas.
Kevin Friend does not escape from that either. He is a pile of shit.
I really do agree with you, mate. I think he was all right today. I think he got every yellow card pretty bang on. Lanzini's a yellow. Yamalenko's a yellow.
No waffling about either, which is nice. He usually likes to be the center of attention.
He got on with it. There's no decisions that wasn't a foul where he give a foul. Maybe there might be a couple of little silly little things he done, but other than that, I thought he was pretty all right. So yeah, I'll give him a 6. I agree. And that
I quite like his eccentricities. The no look yellow, always a good time.
Yeah.
You know, when Antonio did the thing and he just stopped, looked dead ahead and just went without even looking. I'm like, I like all that.
You know, I appreciate the quick booking on Dan James too, where he literally he's like 60 yards away, just turns, take that.
Just you bang, have it, donezo. There we go. We move. I can't look. I'm not. I get why people get very wound up by Mike Dean, but as
because you like wrestling, you love that. You love that Mike Dean is a menace and thrives off hate.
He's a rebel.
It's two things. It's that, and it's what James knows, because obviously I've done prayer ratings with James.
You love wrestling. You love a good show. I know.
I'm not fussed about, like, I don't really pay attention to refereeing performances at all. I don't like whatever. If a foul happens, we move on. I don't really care. Like, if it's offside and it's not offside, whatever, we move on. I do quite like the pageantry of it. Do you know what I mean? If he had a theme song, if like everyone else walked out and then the Stone Cold glass break,
you would love
Mike Dean over here
every time Mike Dean walks onto the pitch. That's Mike Dean's music.
I can imagine. I could imagine him. I could imagine him coming out to DX or something. You know what I mean? But yeah, that must have been it. That's going to forever be Mike Dean bird shitting on his head. I want to thank you boys for coming on tonight. I really do appreciate both of you for coming on. Charlie, what's your final thought, mate? Moving on there.
Yeah, it is what it is. Even the best teams lose sometimes. Do you know what I mean? It happens. It happens. We've been so good for so long, and we've been bad in games, but still winning for so long. I almost forgot what abject failure felt like today. Yeah. We experienced that. The fact that we had the ball in the net 3 times, I think, is a disservice to how bad we were. You know, it happens. It's the job is not to fail. It's to make sure you don't continue to fail. If you see what I'm saying. If it happens once, not the end of the world. You move on. You lick your wounds. You go again. If we get 3 points against Manchester United, we forget about this game very quickly. It happens sometimes, and that's the goal now, is to just be like, look, we move. It sucked. Let's make sure we do the right thing against Manchester United. Will we? Won't we? We'll find out. But yeah.
Lucas?
When you're the most massive club in the world, sometimes you have to be massively shit. Sometimes you are massively shit.
I've got a feeling that you like talking about shit quite a lot. Oh, shit. Shit.
Just some people deserve shit in their life. And lots of it. But yeah, I mean, this is what happens when you want to be massive and you are massive. Sometimes stuff does not go your way. Yeah, I mean, there's been lots of times this season where we have been so bad, but we still ended up winning, and that's a sign to me that we are progressing a little bit. But I mean, these types of matches really they always sting the same way. But I don't know. Onwards and upwards. Hopefully, for the love of God, we get in a signing by the United game. Hopefully, a defender. Actually, I don't care. Someone. I don't care if it's fucking Phil Jones or Jordan Hugel. I don't care. Just can we get someone in a position of need? Big up, Big Jords.
Big up.
Yeah. For me, I'm gutted. I am. This is a big week now in the transfer window. We need signings. We need players in. Zuma is coming back, but is he going to be match fit for Manchester United?
We got to make sure we say our prayers at night before we
go. Yeah, you got Souček coming back. Is he going to be fully fit, ready to go against Man United? The only decent thing about it, and I'll try and lead things in a positive, is Man United have got 2 games next week. They've got to travel to Brentford, which ain't going to be easy. They're going to be up for it. And then they've got us on a Saturday at 3 o'clock. Moyes has got to stop this stubbornness, I'm afraid. He's becoming a right stubborn bastard. He's stubborn in all aspects, in his tactics, in his player selection. From what I've heard tonight, it looks like Alex Kral's deal is going to be ripped up and they're going to ship him back to Spartak Moscow. And for me, if that is, it's a very, very sad state of affairs with him. I don't think he's done really a lot wrong, Kral. He hasn't really been given a chance. And you can say about training and all that, but how can you judge a player when you don't really know him in the Premier League? He's had he come on as a sub against Watford, and that's about it.
I'd rather see what he can do in a game than training.
Yeah.
Yeah, he almost scored it.
Yeah,
he almost scored it.
And it's just a sad day. It's just a sad day. But we move on, as what you just said, Charlie. You are bang on the money, and you said it. If we go and beat Manchester United, this is forgotten about.
It's only disappointing just because we all know we could have increased the gap between some good clubs.
Yeah,
but
I think next week we have to go up there and not lose the game. I think just go up there and just do not lose the game. I'll take a draw right now because I just don't think we're good enough. But saying that, Man United ain't good enough at the minute. I watched them the other day, and they are in spells dreadful. So we need to sort of counter that.
It will be difficult because Ronaldo will be back next week. Of course, he misses previous match, but he'll be right up front.
He'll be back for us, mate, 100%.
Yeah, but listen, Lucas, to quote the late, great Dusty Rhodes, the American dream, to be the best, you got to beat the best. Do you know what I mean? Bring him on. What's he got? We've got Craig Dawson and Diop at the back. It'll be fine. Let's go. Come on. Yep. I'm confident.
Hopefully they start Phil Jones and we can have a hell of a Matrix kind of match.
Charlie, I want to thank you for coming on tonight, mate. I really do appreciate you coming on this channel. You helped me out with the player ratings, as does Lucas, and I appreciate you coming on all the time, mate.
Thanks for having me on, bro. I always enjoy it.
Lucas, same to you too, mate. Always a pleasure from the US of A. Top man, and just opinionated and passionate. That's what I like to see on this channel. We all got different opinions, we all got different personalities, but we all got the same thing. That's West Ham United. I want to thank everyone who's been in the chat tonight. Also, some really good comments from everyone. I managed to get all the comments in there tonight. Do you know what I mean? As the boys were talking, when it's a 2-man show, it's a bit hard because I've got to talk and I've got to do that, and I can understand when Charlie's doing these watch-alongs that it can get a bit, your hands get a bit all over the gaff. But tonight I could do that. I really do appreciate everyone's comments in the chat tonight. Very, very good. all good opinions. Some agreed, some disagreed. And yeah, it's a deflating defeat. And as I always say, if you like my videos, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Turn on the bell notification.
Yeah, I'm getting up there slowly. I'm nearly at 3,500 subscribers. So yeah, slowly but surely. But I'm not in it for the subscribers. I'm in it for the love, and let's see what happens. Do you know what I mean? As always, thanks to everyone who has been watching and hasn't comment. So it's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from him, the American, and it's goodbye from him, the North Londoner. And by the way, before I go, they are not brothers. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, even though there is a slight resemblance, but all the best. Let's roll on next week. Let's get some signings. Take care, all.
Yes,
bye for now.
please.